Hi, I'm John,
I'm Monica.
and we're here today with our friend T to learn more about adding precious metals to our portfolio.
Excited to learn about it.
And these guys are interested in adding some precious metals or just learning about adding precious metals to their portfolios.
Yeah, so the first thing I always kind of start to ask is, one, what, if anything, do you know about precious metals or gold or silver or anything in that realm at all?
That's an easy answer. Not much.
Not much. Okay.
Same answer.
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. So basically, this is going to be my crash course beginner's lesson, right? So we're going to talk about gold because that's what most people are usually concerned with is gold. And you always have a couple different forms. The different forms you're going to have something like a gold bar. So this is 1 ounce of gold, 1 ounce pure gold. Then you have coins. So that's a 1 ounce American Eagle. This is 1 ounce American Buffalo. If you notice, these all three have a different color to them, essentially. And that has to do with purity. So this is what we would call like coin gold. So it's 90% gold, but it actually contains 1 ounce of actual gold. This is pure gold. This is 4/9 fine. So it's as fine as you can get, and it's the same with that. That's why they're those kind of colors. So basically, with gold, you have a couple general rules. You have what we call the spot price, which you can see on our board here. And the spot price is what the metals are currently trading for. This is live. This happens every day, 5 days a week. And when you're buying gold, you're never just buying the gold. You're also going to be buying what we call the premium. So, for example, American stuff always has a much higher premium than most things. So for like these 1 ounce coins, I'm going to have to charge like $120 over whatever that spot price is. Okay. So on a bar, bars can be cheaper. Bars are more like 90. But then you even get into some things that can be even cheaper, like this is a 1 ounce South African Krugerrand. Those are very famous worldwide, especially if you like Lethal Weapon.
Look at that. It's gold. Fucking gold. Krugerrand.
But those I can sell for even like $60 or $70 over the spot price of gold. So gold has a lot of different forms and a lot of different ways to buy it. I always shoot for the most economical way. When I buy gold, I want to buy the most gold I can rather than pay a premium for something because it's made somewhere.
Sure.
So that's kind of the real quick, basis on my philosophy of gold. Honestly, buying gold is really simple. People really mystify it. A lot of people come in here and they think that they're going to have to fill out forms. They're going to have to do all kinds of crazy stuff. It's really simple. You hand me cash, I hand you gold, and you walk out. What I tell people, though, is that gold is not, it's not a stock, it's not a bond, it's not an ETF. It's not something you're buying for the quick flip. It's a store of value. It's security, and I like to think of it as a much harder to access savings account. Because, a lot of times it's really easy to dip into that savings account for, a quick purchase, but, $2,800 worth of gold takes a little bit more to do.
And so this daily price is per ounce?
That is per ounce, yes.
Okay.
That is per ounce, and that's daily. And so you'll see gold, silver, platinum, palladium, and rhodium up there. It lags about 30 seconds, but yeah, that is the current price on the market. It's called the spot market.
Okay.
So basically, it'll close today at 4 o'clock, and then it'll open back in London on the London fix, and then it'll just keep going. So that is a live price going every day.
And that's an international number.
Oh, that's
correct.
international.
Recognized all over the world.
Yes,
Okay,
that is an
world spot
international.
price.
Yes,
Okay.
that is an international number.
So the different precious metals here. So gold, you're saying, is a good place to start?
I generally tell people that gold is one of the better places to start. Silver is attractive because of the accessibility. It's really just, the philosophy. Would you rather have 80 ounces of silver or 1 ounce of gold?
Okay.
So that's another part that a lot of people get kind of hung up on is, unfortunately, 100 ounces of silver is about like yay, and it costs near 1 ounce of gold. Okay. So it's quite literally the difference between a brick and something you can fit in your pocket.
Well, I would think based on the pricing, like today, a lot of people would start out in silver because it makes
Absolutely.
sense if
Yes.
you're,
that's
complete novice.
yes. That's generally what people do is start in silver, which again, it's not a bad way. Diversification is always generally a good idea for anything you're doing.
$2,800 is a lot to plunk down at once.
Yes.
If you're just starting your journey.
Yes.
How about fractional? You want to talk about fractional?
Yeah, we can talk about fractionals. When T is talking about fractional, we are talking about things like this. This is a quarter-ounce eagle. This is a half-ounce eagle. So these are okay. The problem is the premium. So for something like a half-ounce eagle, I'm going to have to charge like $85 over the spot price of gold. So by the time you have 2 of these to make your full ounce, you've paid $160 an ounce over the spot price. And as you get lower, it gets even worse. So for example, something like a 10th ounce gold eagle, I've got to charge probably somewhere around $75 over spot. So now you're at $750 an ounce. So fractional doesn't always make sense. However, there are options. One of the other options I always try to tell people is something like this is a really good example. So that is what's called a 1 ducat. It has a date of 1915, but they were actually made in the 60s and 70s as a way for Americans to own gold because we weren't able to own gold in this country until 1974. So this is a little more than 1/10 of an ounce. It's 0.1109 of an ounce, but I can sell this for $20 over the spot price of gold all day, every day. So for fractional, if you can't afford a full ounce, I recommend stuff like this, not necessarily the modern bullion product fractional stuff, because by that point you're just paying way too much premium.
So if you can afford to buy it by the ounce, that's the way to go.
That's
because you're not
generally
paying the premium.
Exactly. And then what can be really cool is then it gets even cheaper. So like this guy, this is a 100-gram bar. That is 3.215 ounces of gold.
Wow.
Ooh, wow.
Very dense. Yeah, it's very unassuming, but that is 3.215 ounces of gold. Something like this I can sell for like $35 an ounce over spot. So this is kind of the sweet spot. The problem is, you don't want all your pieces like this because, say, you need $2,500 because the kid went out and did something dumb. Or, you got to fix the car or whatever. It's kind of hard to chop those into a third.
Sure.
So there's strategies. I know guys that have hundreds of these. I know guys that have none of these. There's so many different strategies with it all.
Do people try to time, like, the best time to buy gold?
People absolutely try to time it. And honestly, it's not really feasible. I know one guy that timed it perfectly. He's the only guy that I know that has ever timed it.
Was it T?
It was not T. It was not T. I had a gentleman coming in at the beginning of 2024, so this year, depending on when this video drops, at the beginning of 2024, he was coming in and he was quite literally every other week buying about $1.1 million worth of gold every other week. And that was when gold was between $2,000 and $2,200 an ounce. We hit almost $2,800 an ounce. He sold. He came back and he goes, "Hey, can you get me some copies of my receipts? They got to go to the accountant. I took a fat profit. Do you want to know how much I made?" I looked at him. I said, "No." And he told me he made almost $1 million on short-term gains, which is crazy. Gold is a long-term. We generally tell people, you're going to cost average it. So you're going to buy an ounce here, you're going to buy an ounce there, you're going to buy half an ounce, and eventually, once you get that cost average, that's really what it is. It's a store of value. You're not going to get rich on the gold, but you may save a whole heck of a lot in inflation and other stuff.
So like the market, stocks and bonds, you can forecast, or you can predict, you can look back at history. So what's a good way to what's a forecast? Is there a forecast?
There are so many forecasts for it that, to be quite frank, I don't trust any of them. And I don't really listen to any of them because it's a lot of noise, especially in an environment like we are in today, because a lot of the price that's been driving has been because of things like China has been buying massive amounts of gold. Brazil, a lot of governments have been buying, but also a lot of individuals. So it's really, really hard to forecast when all of a sudden, China says, "Hey, we just bought 100 million ounces of gold." or Russia said something crazy like we're going to dump 10 million. It's very hard to forecast that stuff. And there are a lot of guys that try. You can go onto different websites that swear it's going to go to 3,000. I'll be real honest. I didn't think it was going to be over 2,500 this year. So I'm shocked. And then now, a month ago, if you would have told me it was going to be, lower than 2,700, I wouldn't have believed you because it was such a strong market. So it just moves, and the best way to be informed with any of this stuff is really just try to, see what the world is doing, because it really is, this stuff is very much tied to the broader world economy, not even just the U.S. economy.
I live, over in the suburbs, and I want to go spend some money on a rainy day.
Yep.
How do I get cash?
I always say that you try to develop the relationship with your bullion dealer and deal with them. But that's kind of what's great about this stuff is you can quite literally take this anywhere in the world and get cash out of it. Now, you might not get as much cash, in one place or the other, but gold has always been historically one of those things that you can carry out with you. I actually had a gentleman come in with a kilo gold bar, so 32 ounces of gold. Yeah. It was Soviet. His parents escaped Hungary in the 50s, and his dad took like 6 of them with him. So he ended up selling us one of them. But for here in the States, you just go back to your bullion dealer. A big part of our business is buying and selling this stuff back between our clients. So I have a client that he's very, very talented at real estate. So when he sells a building, he puts a portion of it into metals, and then when he needs to raise more capital to buy another building, he comes back and he sells me that same metal, and we trade it between each other. So really, I do tell people generally, stay away from any place that says cash for gold, because they're gonna get theirs off you real bad. And stay away from pawn shops generally. You want to find someone that does this for a living, and it's not too terribly hard, especially in a major area like this. There's more than a few people that do this. So,
and the spread isn't terrible. Russ will sell you gold for a little over spot, and he'll buy it back for a little under spot, or maybe I don't want to speak for you.
No,
but
that's very much.
You're not going to get gouged when you come to a reputable place like this.
Yeah, and that's the other thing is that I always tell people building a relationship with a dealer is important because you get to know them not only as a person but how they do business. And with this stuff, I always try to be as transparent as possible. I don't like selling people things I don't believe in. So there have been times where people have actually come in and they say, I want to buy this one specific gold product that has this massive premium that doesn't make any sense. And I've looked at them and I said, no. And they kind of looked at me shocked, and it's like, if you really want this, I will sell it to you, but it makes no sense. I can get you more gold for less money. And that's how we try to operate, as transparent as possible, because that's the other thing that people kind of don't really think about necessarily is that, we're having a $2,800 sale.
Right.
But, Buffaloes right now, so I'm selling these for $120 over. When I go out and replace these, they cost me $90 to replace. So on that $2,800, $2,700 sale, I'm making $30 one way. So there's not a lot of money to be made on the individual sale, so that's why this is a volume business. So it's never a bad idea to ask your dealer if there's anything else you can do, if there's a deal to be had, but also always be realistic is what I tell people.
Well, it makes sense because you want to build that relationship because you're the expert and you want to trust that you're not giving me a raw deal, that we are getting to know each other over time.
Absolutely. That, and then, one of the other big perks is, so for example, I had a guy come in the other day and he sold me like 60 1-ounce gold Canadian maple leafs that I normally charge like plus $90 for. He came in and sold me all those, and I had a guy who needed like 30 ounces. So I called up my guy and I was like, hey, I just bought these. I'll give them to you for, I think it was like $40 or $45 a coin instead of that 30, because they just walked in rather than just trying to get rid of them to a wholesaler. I can, make a deal with him. He gets a deal and everybody's happy. So that's another big thing is that, there are deals to be had as long as you have a good relationship. And that's just it. Just building a relationship just like anything else.
Yeah. Well, other than our friend T and talking with you today and learning a little bit, what are some good resources if you want to continue to learn about metals? Like,
Yeah, so really, there's a website called Kitco, Kitco. So that's actually who most people use for their spot price. So Kitco's a great resource. They also have a crazy amount of articles, real-time analysis, all those kind of things, historic charts, so you can try to track some of this stuff. So that's my biggest one. That's really my biggest resource for any of that stuff. And then YouTube is a fantastic resource. I mean, there are guys that are on there like T. There are national guys on there, guys that know more than a whole heck of a lot of people. So the internet is your oyster, I would say.
That's why I come to experts like Russ, and that's the kind of the format of the channel where I'm not the expert. I know a little. This guy knows a lot. And that's why, I come to people like Russ and Mike over there to ask questions and get answers for people that are wondering just like you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, thanks so much for your time.
My pleasure, guys.
We've learned so much from you, and
Thanks, Russ, for your time and your
so
expertise.
informative.
Yeah, I'm going to start researching.
All right, perfect.
retirement's right around the corner. So
Getting there.
Yep.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you'd like to see more, please consider subscribing. You can click the T logo on the left to do so. For another video on gold, click the video on the right. Special thanks to John and Monica, as well as Russ and the nice folks down at Harlan J Berk. Contact info is in the video description.